All right, health officials in Contra Costa County now hoping that the CDC can help them identify that mystery illness linked to a free community Thanksgiving dinner in Antioch. As we've been reporting, 3 people died, another 16 got sick. Our medical expert, Dr. Larry Burchett, is joining us now. So the big news that came out yesterday, not only that the number of people sick increased, but that they've been able to rule out a number of illnesses. I think a total of 21, including E. coli, salmonella, and norovirus. So what's left? What could it be?
There's a ton of bacteria and a lot of possibilities. It's kind of like we do this in waves. So the basic tests they're going to go through, including cultures, there's genetic analysis. They're going to look at all the samples. And if you don't find it in that, then you kind of go to more uncommon things that maybe that's what they need to go to the CDC for at kind of another level.
You said, though, when I mentioned E. coli, you were a little bit surprised at that.
Yeah, the one that I was suspicious for was this enterohemorrhagic E. coli, or E. coli 0157H7.
Okay, what's that?
It's kind of a nasty one. If you look back, there's a lot of outbreaks, mainly with beef, hamburgers that aren't cooked too much. And people can develop this hemolytic uremic syndrome. Very serious. People end up dying from it. I was kind of thinking that that's what they would have found because, I don't know what the numbers are now, but 3 people died. It's one of the just more serious, nasty, and grave.
Like more aggressive?
Bacteria. Yeah, but more aggressive bacteria. So I'm surprised to hear that that's been ruled out.
Yeah. The fact, though, that the food came from a lot of different sources. Some was made at that facility, some was pre-cooked and just warmed up. That seems like that would make it difficult to identify the actual source of what made people sick.
Yeah, it sure makes it more complicated.
Yeah.
I guess I would take a step back earlier and start with what do we know in the ER, the samples that we had there. The more people that get sick, it just gives us more opportunity to kind of test that stuff. And then also, unfortunately, people have died, but there's a lot of samples there with them too. So I would start there first, and then once you get the organism, then you go and you look at the food and you try to figure out where it came from.
One thing that health officials also said was that all of those who died had similar intestinal abnormalities. Now, what does that tell you?
God, it just makes me think about the E. coli. But again, there's a lot of different bacteria. They produce certain toxins, for example, like Shiga-like toxin. And one feature of this hemolytic uremic syndrome, hemolytic means bleeding, so they may have had intestinal bleeding or certain ulcers or certain characteristics that when you look at the intestines, either on a colonoscopy or under a microscope, they have the same findings. Or maybe they have certain kinds of lymphocytes that are, with the cells. So there's certain findings that, again, usually that can kind of steer us in a direction of, oh, okay, it's more likely that it's this bacteria than that one.
Okay, so there are a lot of these free type meals that are offered during the holidays. Christmas is coming up. How do people who are serving these meals, what sort of safety precautions should they take?
Well, and this is definitely in the public health realm. Yeah. Number one is cook the food thoroughly. I don't think I would offer any raw food, especially given this this outbreak. The next thing is the time to preparation is another big thing. So if you're going to prepare it, I don't know what their regulations are in terms of the day before or hours before.
I think it's a little lenient, too, when you're talking about a community sort of, event versus one like at St. Anthony's or something like that where there's strict protocol.
And then just basic cleanliness stuff. Wash your hands when you're preparing the food. Some of these, although I don't think this one, can be fecal-oral. Somebody gets sick and then they're involved in the food preparation. So I would say those 3 things.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Larry. Boy, it still remains a mystery, something that we'll continue to follow, and we are staying on top of this story. Again, as I mentioned, that the health department continuing to look for the cause. We have much more information online on our website at KTVU.com.